Hi there, I'm Susie Harrison, Commercial Editor of AI Business. In this Experts in AI interview, we will examine conversational AI with Aktify. We will discuss what conversational AI is, how it differs from things like chatbots, and what the future holds for this technology. Lending us their expertise today are Aktify, a conversational intelligence company that connects brands to consumers. So I'm very pleased to welcome Dave Barney, CTO at Aktify. Hi, Dave, and thanks for joining us.
Hello, Susie. Thanks for having me.
So let's dive right into our conversation. My first question, how has AI-powered technology changed the way we're able to communicate?
Well, it's a great question. I think primarily the way that conversational AI has changed the way we have conversations is the scale in which we can have those conversations. So the ability for companies in particular, where we focus, is in enterprise conversations. And anyone who's ever spent time on a telco, on hold, or with an airline knows that it's particularly for our largest companies in the world, it's very difficult for them to maintain conversations with all of their customers. The internet has enabled companies to have more customers than they've ever had before. Millions of customers, and some big companies, billions of customers around the globe. And they haven't been able to keep up with the conversations with those customers. and customers haven't been able to keep up with the conversations with their companies. And so what conversational AI enables is really to have conversations at scale between machines or companies or entities and people. That's probably the primary way that it's changed. I think in other ways, conversational AI can specialize in ways that, salespeople will train for years to become really crafted in a sales conversation, or therapists will train for years in how to empathetically listen and ask the right questions when they're talking to someone. And you can train an AI bot in those skills more rapidly. So we can do things as well as, or in some cases better than humans at scale.
Right. So can you tell us a bit about the difference between conversational AI and chatbots?
Yeah, that's a good question. We get asked a lot. Oh, so you're basically a chatbot company. And interestingly enough, we're in the conversational AI space and we don't currently have a chatbot. So conversational AI is in its entirety is basically human to machine conversations. And that can happen in a lot of mediums and in a lot of different use cases. Text, whether that's over chat or over SMS, if the conversation is happening over text, that's just one medium of conversational AI. And then a chatbot is just one channel within that text medium. So chatbots that are using conversational AI are just a subset of the space. That said, not all chatbots are actually using conversational AI. Some of them are using very basic heuristics behind the scenes, just a very simple rule-based, very basic conversation that I wouldn't necessarily say is conversational AI, although it is, some sort of machine to human conversation, but they're fairly simple. So some chatbot companies are quite advanced in their use of conversational AI technology, and others are, and in fact, most of them are actually fairly basic in their use of conversational AI.
So what kind of teams and processes do companies need to have in place to have an effective conversational AI solution?
It's a good question. I spent about a decade of my career working at Google on machine learning systems. And one thing that I learned there was the AI side of things is extremely important, of course. That's the core of the science. But the engineering, the system that supports it, is equally as important. The product that serves it, the user interface, the user experience, the ability for the system to scale and to operate efficiently and in real time in some cases. So for us, there's two big focuses. One is the data science team and one is the engineering team, and making sure that we have world-class talent in both of those. On the data science team, we have PhD researchers, we have practitioners that are doing a lot of the analyses and data analysis and building the tools to help advance the technology there. We also hire a team of what we call NLU analysts, and the NLU stands for natural language understanding, which is an important area within conversational AI. And so we hire a bunch of NLU analysts. Their background is typically in linguistics, and they have a really deep understanding of the language, English or Spanish, or whatever language we're operating in. And so within the data science team, we have data scientists and NLU analysts. And then within the engineering team, we're really hiring the best systems engineers to build systems that scale, and front-end engineers that are building, really great, fantastic interfaces for our customers and for our users.
What's something new that Aktify brings to the table?
So conversational AI is a very wide space, and Siri and Google Assistant and Alexa, they are very advanced in their ability to understand what people are saying and respond to that. But they are a generalist. And so I think where our value comes in is that we specialize. A specialist will always beat a generalist. We have advisors from Siri and Google Assistant that work with us. And that's a common conversation we have, that we are focused on enterprise conversations that help businesses scale their ability to connect with their customers or prospects in a sales conversation, for example. And so we specialize in those areas. And most people, the chatbots and most companies in conversational AI tend to be working in customer support. That's a big problem space. Like I was saying earlier in the example, people have a hard time connecting with big companies. Airlines, telcos are just common examples. And so a lot of people focus in the customer support area. We're not in that area. We're in sort of outreach to customers and prospecting and sales, and we specialize in that area. So we have built a world-class team. We've developed some novel inventions in the conversational AI that we've patented. We particularly around scheduling or other enterprise type conversations. But I think that really where I would say our differentiation is where we specialize.
So I think we've covered this a bit already, but is there anything else that you would want to highlight about how Aktify's solution differs from things like Alexa, Siri, and those other conversational AI technologies?
Yeah, I did touch on it a little bit. I think there's more to say there. The interesting thing is we've worked with some of those teams, and as we understand the state of the art of natural language understanding and conversational AI, is at the core, our technology is very similar. We have a very similar approach. There's kind of the leading edge way that companies are tackling natural language understanding and conversational AI. So in the core, our approach is fairly similar. Where we differentiate is in where we focus. One way to say it is that they're trying to boil the ocean, right? And there's an infinite number of things that someone might want to ask Siri or Google Assistant or Alexa. And they're very good at a lot of things, like, is there an Italian restaurant nearby, or what's the weather like, or some other trivia question, or something related to, the use cases of a personal assistant. But they're not very good at enterprise conversations. They're just not focused in that area. They're not training on that kind of data, and they're not thinking about those use cases. They have literally millions of other use cases they're focusing on. And we're focused on a narrow set of use cases that will help drive enterprise conversations with customers. So I think the primary differentiator is where we focus. And because of where we focus, we spend a lot of time around scheduling and things like that, where your Siri and Google Assistant and Alexa, they can do basic scheduling. You say, remind me tomorrow at 4 p.m. to do something, and then they handle that well. But when we're trying to set up appointments with customer or a sales team, it gets a little bit more complicated. So we've had to dive deeper into that area and other areas related to enterprise conversations.
Thanks, Dave. This has been really interesting, and I've certainly learned a lot. And thank you to our audience for joining us for this fast chat. I'm Susie Harrison from AI Business, and thanks again to Dave from Aktify for joining us.
Thanks for having me.